All right, shalom, shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes into Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone who well, teach well, and honors to you brothers who will bring out this word in sincerity and in faith. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, Rakatham, and to you sincere. We've seen the article, and I believe she's a J. Um, just according to her last name. I don't really know. She looks like one of those women in the world that can pass off as an Edomite woman. I'm gonna just assume that she's a J. But this is a quick uh, lesson because I'm about to make, Lord's willing. But I just happened to see this article based upon a woman who was arrested in the death of her 3 kids, was in a custody dispute. So we're just gonna go through that real quick and then uh, put some with the scriptures. So according to this, right, and this was in Los Angeles. It says the woman was arrested on suspicion of killing her 3 young children at her Los Angeles apartment, had been involved in a custody dispute with their father, according to a newspaper report Sunday. Liliana Carrillo, 30, was arrested Saturday in Tulare County after fleeing the gruesome scene and leading law enforcement officers on a long-distance chase. All right. So I can let you know. So according to this, it says the Los Angeles Times cites family court documents that show Eric Denton sought custody of the children ages 3, 2, and 6 months on March. All right. And it reads, Denton requested a temporary emergency visitation order from the court on March 4th in petition for a mental health evaluation of Carrillo, according to the newspaper. Orders were drawn up at a March 26th hearing. Another hearing in the case was scheduled for April 14th. In response, Carrillo sought a temporary domestic violence restraining order against Denton on March 12th in Los Angeles County Superior Court. So here's what happened, man. Okay. This chick right here on the screen, she was losing her mind. All right. Okay, her husband was like, "Look, I gotta get my kids out of this situation. I'm not having this." And she obviously, she tried to pull an okey doke here. Now, it didn't work. Okay, and she realized, okay, I'm gonna lose my children. I'm gonna lose my way of living. Okay, she snapped. And the times that we're living in right now, we're gonna see even more places hear stories like this. Uh, in the news, when you hear stories like this, it has a shock factor to it. Right? So it reads, Denton said he tried to get local authorities to intervene, but in LA they wouldn't help. The LAPD would not get involved. He said Carrillo was supposed to turn over the kids to him on Sunday. So this, I from what I'm seeing, the court put this man in favor, of getting children. Okay. It says the children's grandmother returned home from work Saturday morning and found the bodies and the mother missing. Police said initial reports suggested the children had been stabbed to death, but no official cause of death has been. She could have choked them, you know. She could have drowned them, all right? So, and you don't know, man. See these, especially, hey man, especially Jake. These Israelite women, man. You gotta first off, man, you gotta realize that just because you're an Israelite, don't mean you can't do wrong. That's why 2/3 of Israel is gonna be destroyed for doing shit like this. All right. It says Los Angeles police initially received reports Korea was driving her car and heading north on Interstate 5 when she got in an altercation in the Bakersfield area. She abandoned her car, carjacked another vehicle, drove about 100 miles north of Bakersfield. So she got 100 miles away before she was apprehended. Now let that have been Judah. You know, let that have been a Judite male. They would have shut the whole city down. Okay, and you could look, man. This lady's got demons on her, point blank. So I remember the elder Mikey Allah, based out of Los Angeles, actually did a video a couple months ago based upon 2 Kings chapter 6 at around verse 25, speaking about how this time of great, right, piece of dove's dung was going for 5 pieces of silver, or a fourth part, right? The fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So this was in a time of ultimate famine. Now here, especially in America, right? Not only is there famine in certain areas, you know, based upon lack of resources, but there's a spiritual famine also. That's part of the reason why this woman did this, man. Can you believe that this would happen in America right now? Of course, man. But see, you wouldn't really hear of this happening back in the quote unquote golden age of Israel. A woman doing this back in those times would be, almost unheard of. But now this is, you turn on the news, you seeing this day to day. This is a day-to-day occurrence, man. I'm just going to this, and always will is edifying. Let's see if there's any more of the article. That appears to be about it. That's the video. And hopefully when it says video, hopefully it goes to video based upon this. So I can. All right. So it reads. All right, so this reads, it says 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host and went up and besieged Samaria. There was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. And the fourth part of a cab of dung's and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. So, A score is 20, man. So that's at that point, uh, uh, ass his head, man. That's going for the same. That's going for the same price as like a what I mean, like 10 cattle, man. Hey, and even in them times, right, during the time of this great famine in Samaria, you had what you call hyperinflation. That's hyperinflation right there, man. Let's get some details based upon this article right here. Now, if you notice with this lady, it says Denton requested a temporary emergency visitation order from the court on March 4th and petitioned for a mental health evaluation of Carrillo, according to the newspaper. Orders were drawn up at a March 26th hearing. Another hearing in the case was scheduled for April 14th. So here it is in America. We're not having um, that bad of famines and different things like that. All right, yet the conditions that are being brought up, right, is much like in this example here. It wasn't like just overnight, an ass's head was sold for that much. No, this was after the city was encamped around about. Okay, nothing can come in, nothing can come out. And spiritually, this place is under a famine. Okay, the only people that are receiving that water, that bread, that cheese, that milk, all those being spiritual. Okay, are the 144,000 and the 1/3, man. Everybody else is spiritually famished, including this lady. This lady, if this lady had the proper um, guidance, from her husband, okay, and even if she had the proper guidance of her husband, she could still go off and do these things. But if she had the understanding of who she is, who she comes from, okay, she would know that a woman of Israel isn't supposed to act this way. You would expect a damn Edomite woman to do this, but you don't really hear about that. You don't really hear about an Edomite woman killing all her children. Man. You hear that from Jacob. When I first seen this article, I didn't see her face. I thought this was a Judite woman. Of course, when you press the button, she's probably a so-called Puerto Rican woman, a so-called Mexican woman, whatever the case is. She's a child of Israel. So of course, every time something like that happens, Jake is on the front page of the news because Jake can't keep their ass about the front page of the news. Okay, which that's designed by these damn devils to portray Jake as some killing machine, but at the same time, Jake is putting themselves out there like that because she should have considered that. What is this going to do to my life? That's why a lot of times all you can do is just shake your head, man. All right, but anyways, it says, and as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, and we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. So she said that real casually to the king, Just like you probably got this woman in questioning right now. She's sitting there getting investigated and questioned. And she probably said it real nonchalant. can even tell by the look on her face, man. You can tell by the look on her face that she's not struggling. That's a proud ass look for somebody that done, killed 3 of their children. Ages 3, 2, and 6 months. So you gotta have a demon on you to do that, man. You see the demons on it right there. All right. It says, and it came to pass when the king heard the words of the woman that he rent his clothes and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked and beheld, and he had sackcloth upon his flesh. All right, so he was extremely disturbed and distraught by what this woman had said. Okay, the spirit was extremely angry. Like, how could a woman agree to that? Okay, I'm gonna let you boil my child, and then tomorrow we're gonna boil yours, man. And that just goes to see the smarts of these women, man. It says, then he said, Yahweh do so and more also to me. The head of Elisha the son of Shaphat shall stand on him this day. But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him, and the king sent a man from before him. But the messenger came to him. He said to the elders, see ye how this son of a murderer hath sent to take away mine head. Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door and hold him fast at the door. Is it not the sound of his master's feet behind him? And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him. And he said, behold, this evil is of the Lord. What should I wait for the Lord any longer? Then Elisha said, hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. So, hey man. So it's gonna go back to back to normal, so to speak. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of Yahweh and said, behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, why sit we here until we die? If we say we will enter into the city, and the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit still here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die. And they rose up in the twilight to go unto the camp of the Syrians. It's like it. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the king of the Hittites and the king of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent, and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again and entered into another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. And they said one to another, we do know. This day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told them, saying, We came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied in the tents as they were. And he called the porters, and they told it to be the king's house within. And the king arose in the night and said unto his servants, I will now show you what the Syrians have done to us. They know that we be hungry, therefore are they gone out of the camp to hide themselves in the field, saying, When they come out of the city, we shall catch them alive and get into the city. And one of his servants answered and said, Let some take, I pray thee, five of the horses that remain, which are left in the city. Behold, they are as all the multitude of Israel that are left in it. Behold, I said, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. And let us send and see. They took therefore 2 chariot horses, and the king sent after the host of the Syrians, saying, Go and see. And they went after them unto Jordan, and lo, all the way was full of garments and vessels, which the Syrians had cast away in their haste. And their messengers returned and told the king. And the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrians. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. So, the Lord sets up men to foretell what's going to happen, not because they did it, all right, but because the Heavenly Father did it, and He has a faithful witness. He has a faithful witness to show these things. And the king appointed the Lord on whose hand he leaned to have the charge of the gate. And the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died, as the man of Yahweh had said, who spake when the king came down to him. And it came to pass as the man of Yahweh had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time in the gate of Samaria. And that Lord answered the man of Yahweh and said, Now, behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might such a thing be? And he said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell out unto him, and the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died. So, hey man, this is about faith. See, because you had these lepers men who had kind of like an insight. They had kind of an insight on what's to take place, right? And they were outside of the city. They said, well, if we stay outside the city, we're dead. We're done. All right, let's go into the city, see what we can do. You know what I mean? We might be all right. So they went in the city, okay. They're good, but nobody's there, man. Absolutely nobody's there. I can go more. I could go more into that. That chapter kind of goes more into a whole nother thing. I kind of went past the point that I was supposed to, as far as the woman. But that's just the spirit. That's just the spirit. The one last precept All right, so this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, and verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thy understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver in thy treasures. Speaking about Edomites, which those leprous men, those leprous men are Edomites. Now, when when Yahweh Shai had showed Elisha those chariots, he had an understanding about these chariots, so that when the people see the chariots, they're fleeing. They're fleeing. They're gone. So they left a whole trail of items upon them. Leaving. All right. So that when the leprous men are, they're up in the city and whatnot. When the people came back, they're like, what are these Edomites doing here? You know what I mean? And you already know what happens, man. Because at that time, he wasn't welcome like he is in this society. That's like you're in your house, right? And you see 100 horses pull up to the front. Men on 100 horses just come to the front of the house. You leave out the back. You just leave with the clothes on your back. You're sprinting full speed, running. All right. You come back the next day. You got 4 leprous men in your house chilling on the couch, scratching their stomach. You already know what's gonna happen. You're gonna come back and do exactly what they did. and after that, there was a quote unquote sense of peace. Because see, the Lord can have terrible things happen, and then He'll turn around and make it just as good. Except in the case of this place, once this place is done away with, it's not like, oh, everything's going to be good in America. It's going to be completely done. The only good things that are going to take place is in the land of Israel. Okay, and through these good things happening in the land of Israel, these other nations are going to see that. All right, and they're going to do good things in their land after that 1,000 years, besides the Edomites. Right, all from following the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Hashem and Shai. All right, so Lord's will, this is edifying. All right, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kaha Kodash. Give honors to the elder apostles of the Great Millstone who rule well, teach well. And honors to you brothers who are bringing out this word in sincerity and in faith. I'm going to go ahead and in this stream, I'm going to actually be right back on here. Well, as well, I'm going to do this lesson with the elder. I just happened to see this article. I brought call Akim to you brothers also. Brought call Akim to you brothers. Shalom.